Oh. What? I don't think that's
multiple.
No, now I can't hear him. All right, we got a little bit of an audio issue here. All right, considerable audio issue here.
Guys, are you registered twice?
No.
It's an alarm.
Yeah, it's like an alarm going off. Can you hear that?
I do. On your speakerphone,
We were fine.
Yeah, no, we were fine until you opened the call up because we were talking to you perfectly.
I'm gonna mute my phone here, see if it continues. Can you say a few words?
Yeah. Good morning, everybody.
Okay, no,
Yeah,
that's I think we got it under control.
It's still actually. Yeah, no, we still, when we were talking, there's a delay and it's talking back to us.
Okay,
We can give it a shot. Yeah, we can. That's worse. That's worse. and the beeps are back.
Okay, well, it looks like we've got two.
Yeah, look.
How about now?
That's good.
Okay, good. That's it. Okay, sorry everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the Catalyst webinar series presented by the Education Committee for the Southern California PGA. Catalyst webinar series is a bi-weekly educational platform for creating success and change in your club and career. I'm very pleased and proud to introduce Mr. John Easterbrook, Jr., the Chief Membership Officer for the PGA of America. Mr. Easterbrook is the first ever Chief Membership Officer for the PGA. Was named CMO in March of 2017. Mr. Easterbrook oversees the core PGA member-focused areas of the association, including PGA education, employment, member services, and section business operations. Mr. Easterbrook is a 30-year PGA member who spent 20 of those years as the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for Troon Golf, employing over 450 PGA members worldwide. Mr. Easterbrook, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. I also have the membership services team with me. I've got Tom Brawley, 25-year member, running membership services department. Scott Kimmick, 20-year ED and been here at the organization for a year, heading up the career services department. Scott Wellington, 10-year ED and been here a year, heading up the section business affairs. And Dawes Marlette, a legendary education provider extraordinaire, 14 years here at the PGA. So we've got the brain trust here, and hopefully we have a little bit of a free-flowing conversation, and feel free. I know you have been more structured in the past. Paul Levy sends his regards. He had a schedule change. I know you were hoping to hear from him today. He's probably a little bit more scripted than we will be today, but feel free to interject and answer or ask your questions as we go through this. I think really our focus, John, you just want me to get into this?
Yes, indeed. Take it away.
Yeah. So I think really our focus in the next 40 minutes is to give you an outline and the state of the industry and a little bit about our team here and a little bit maybe about my role, my job. Many of you have seen my background. I'm going to give a 1-minute overview instead of a 5-minute overview, but I grew up in the game of golf. I love the game of golf. As John mentioned, I'm a 32-year PGA professional. I've always been proud of the PGA of America. I knew I wanted to be a PGA professional walking in my granddad's footsteps and taking the trip in 1975 to the U.S. Open and meeting great legendary club professionals, like Warren Smith and Bill Ogden, and just loved their lifestyle and loved what they do. And the iconic nature of the business. And, I tell the story that, I went to Bill Ogden's house and I saw he was a golf professional that had probably 100 white shirts with about 50 different colored logos. He wore a white shirt every day, but his logo always matched his slacks or his belt. And I just thought that was really cool. I played golf at the University of Wyoming, so I stayed in the game, went to work for Marriott out of the game, director of golf and head golf professional at Camelback, and had an absolute great time. Learned how to teach out there, and decided that I thought I could play, but ran into some people who could really play. And my career took me to Hyatt Hotels, where I worked extensively with the PGA. We developed the PGA golf experience at the 1995 Rochester Ryder Cup. That was a really fun event for me and really allowed me to reach down deep in my PGA bag and understand the depths of what it was to grow the game and bring an experience to life. And so I got a great understanding of the PGA brand and what the Ryder Cup meant and what the PGA Championship meant, working as the official hotel partner of the PGA. And as John mentioned, the last 20 years really focused on building a business. Dana, the founder and chairman of Troon, is a PGA member. The senior leadership had 75% PGA members. We understood the importance of the PGA professional. We understood the pride, the passion, and just the pure joy of being in the golf business of the PGA professional. And that was very successful for us in hiring and mentoring PGA professionals to run our facilities. As John stated, 37 states and 31 countries and over 300 facilities that all have PGA professionals. I'm very proud of that association. So now, I'm honored to be in this role, overseeing the big thing. If somebody said, "What's your job?" Day to day is to continue to enhance the brand and exposure of golf professionals. Whatever we can do to help drive compensation. This group's been sitting in here for the last 2 hours this morning talking about how we can focus on educating employers and the external world of the value of the PGA professional. We're working on programs to improve jobs and the career tracks, certification that's meaningful, and we'll get into a little bit more of that detail. Obviously, the nuts and bolts of what we do needs to work. And then I think the big thing that I want to make sure everybody on the phone understands is, our commitment to the PGA professional in the field, and that we are focused on, understanding what you as professionals need out there. This is not working. So hang on, I was going to move this forward here. The PowerPoint. We're going to. All right, I'm going to keep going, and we're going to try to figure out how to let the slideshow catch up. But the first slide in there is the mission, and it's simple mission. It's to serve our members and to grow our game. There you go. I'll see if it works. And that's simply what this group's doing every day. We're sitting around trying to discuss what we can do to serve you all out in the field and then grow the game. Obviously, the next generation of leaders are important to us. We do that through our core product approach. I think everybody recognizes our championships. Terry Haig and his team doing a remarkable job. The Ryder Cup, the last Ryder Cup, arguably one of the greatest sporting events of all time. Not golf events, but sporting events. And to continue to drive and promote and do the amazing things as it relates to PGA Championship, KPMG Women's Championship, and the Ryder Cup and all the other events that we are as an organization doing, making them the best they can be. Mentioned that we're working every day on education, and Dawes will take us in depth into education here in a few minutes. Employment continues to be probably the current officer's number one priority. I'm not going to steal Scott's thunder on that as it relates to employment, but I will tell you it is the number one thing that I talk to the officer group about is how can we enhance the careers and compensation of our PGA professionals. Looking at global initiatives, Arjun Chowdhury oversees that, and looking at expanding the PGA brand around the globe. PGA Reach, obviously, our foundation and our charitable arm, headed up by Ryan Cannon and Davis Horton, and exciting times as it relates to right now working on developing our trustee network. Many of you know John and Mike O'Donnell and John Colclaser in player development, working on some exciting programming that is state of the art as it relates to long-term player development that we all sat in and talked about yesterday for many hours, and how that program and that platform can help PGA professionals drive business to their properties. We do have a properties division that we pay close attention to. Jimmy Terry heads that up. We've got the PGA Golf Club up in St. Lucie, and we've obviously got Valhalla. And then our sections, which is our lifeline in my line, the section relationships, the EDs that are out there that are communicating with you all every day. We need to do a great job of communicating with them, embracing the collaboration between the office here and the brain trust of our EDs. And lastly, kind of as a halo, a brand, as it doesn't look at, they're not listed as core products, but Tom Brawley and the membership services team is really the heart of the organization. Tom heads that up, and many of you have worked with a number of those folks that really are answering questions and doing whatever they can to make the members' day-to-day lives easier. I've been asked, hey John, you've been there 6 months, 7 months. What's going right? What are the things that you see at the organization? And this is something. I will tell you, I'm excited about the group that's sitting around the table from me that you can't see. Again, new ideas, new way of thinking, understanding that the rich traditions of this game are important, but the relevancy to change is even more important. If you haven't had a chance to listen to our CEO's message online from the annual meeting last week, you should, because the message is again more focused on continuing to expand and enhance leadership in the PGA brand, being relevant and current in our education, and being relevant and current in every employer's mind. So I think the things that we're doing right is our education is really good. It has been really good. It continues to be really good. I don't think we've done a great job as an organization promoting that. And we have some gaps, and we'll take you through a 40,000 foot level of the career services and certification program here in a few minutes. I do think under Pete's leadership, there is a mindset shift, and it's not really a shift. It's just a mindset here that, the question of how does this benefit the PGA golf professional in the field, those questions are at the table. I represent that in, figuratively, but I don't represent it as it relates to the thought process here. And I will tell you that thought process is here. The commercial group, the endemic group, this group around the table, player development, all these programs are developed on enhancing the PGA brand and enhancing the ability for you to drive revenue to your facilities. You're going to see a major new commitment to marketing. Hopefully you saw the CBS special. That was the first of many. There will be a launch at the PGA merchandise show about the marketing campaign to promote, and again, to the external world, the value and the importance of the PGA professional. One of the things I like is the committees are working well. together and integrating together to move the organization forward. And I think you will see a strong commitment from the organization to enhance communication and drive participation and what I would say, retain the talent at the PGM schools. The 18 PGM programs out there, those are the rock stars that are the young rock stars that are coming through the organization, and they doing things to keep them excited about the next generation is important. Our focus for 2000 right now, the Evolved Learning Strategy. We'll get into that a little bit, but PGM 3.0 is launching next year. Obviously, there's three distinct career paths: golf operations, teaching and coaching, and executive management. The expansion of the section support. We continue to support the sections with increased funding, which obviously helps your sections run more efficiently and effectively. The continued investment in the youth development initiatives. The Junior League golf has just exploded, gone from basically 3 years ago of 4,000 kids to about 45,000 kids this year, and really has taken on, I think in many people's mind, far more success than we thought. There's 3,000 PGA professionals serving as coaches, and it's just a great program. Scott will get into the evolution of the career services. As I mentioned, that's the number one focus. And, we are excited, like I mentioned this above, that 5th consecutive increase in the ADT funding. So I talked about my role. I got this a little bit out of the way, but everything that I mentioned about is up there, that we're focused on. I think one of the things that on the education side of things there that I said is really good, but I do mean best in class. I think our education is best in class. We are the experts in golf. We are the experts in teaching and coaching. We are the experts in player development. We have to be relevant to the employers and continue to push that out there. The PGA brand means something in all those areas. So lifelong learning is the other thing up there. We want to be able to allow our professionals to be able to move in and out of whatever place they want to be in their careers. If all of a sudden I woke up today and wanted to be a teacher for the last 10 or 15 years of my career, we're going to provide the ability for me to be able to go in and have those classes and at the tip of my fingertips and be able to become relative and certified. Not just the fact that I'm a 32-year PGA professional. That doesn't necessarily give me a green light to go give lessons across the street at the golf club. But if I can get online and become relevant in teaching and coaching, follow my new passion to teach, that's what our goal is. So, and I talked about the section operations. Are you talking about this slide?
I think I am.
Okay. So
you can, whoever.
So no. So now I'm going to turn this over to Dawes a little bit and tell you a little bit about the new stages of membership and what we're thinking about. The education and the employment committees have been working on this for the last 7 months, and we're excited about where this is going. And it's not, you're kind of hearing it firsthand. Our President Paul brought this up at the annual meeting, and this is more, I would say it's more than a concept at this point. It's pushing forward, but this is still very, very new. So I'll turn it over to Dawes.
Was there a question?
Is there a question out there?
Not at
All right,
this time, no, sir.
Okay, great.
So for everybody to further the conversation, we've done a tremendous job, as John just alluded to, with the apprentice training and student training of our universities. And what we wanted to make sure of was that with all the emphasis being placed on the front end of everybody's career, that we developed a lifelong strategy for our members to remain relevant and contemporary in their approach. It was really important for us that we do everything we can to position our members in the best light possible to remain valid to the employer. Everything that we do focuses on how we can strengthen their members' opportunities to get or enhance their career and earn as much compensation as possible. So what has become challenging is the multi-generational workforce that we serve, from the young ages all the way up to people in their 60s and 70s, participating in the growth of the game activities that we all know supports our strategic plan. So on the slide in front of you is what that new lifelong learning journey really looks like. At the first level of certification that you can see there, we call it this 2-star level. That level will remain largely the same as it has in the past. The career tracks we alluded to just a little bit ago will focus around golf operations, executive management, teaching and coaching. But the certification platform, what everybody would recognize, would remain largely the same. As you move toward mastery, you'll notice there in the next spot that expert certification. That's a certification that hasn't or did not exist in the past. That certification's primary purpose is to showcase greater experience to the marketplace, experience in both a direct job focus and experience in membership. We learned from all of the captains of industry we've talked to that in order to win the race of relevance and to compete against the disruption that exists in our marketplace, we really needed to differentiate ourselves in ways that we hadn't in the past. We hope that this expert certification will allow us to do that, take advantage of credentials that the industry by and large presents the marketplace. So there's some unique opportunities in the hospitality area that we would give credit to, and equal in the teaching and coaching space, there's opportunities that we're going to give further credit to, and everything in the middle. What we feel really comfortable with, as John alluded to, was the idea that for 101 years we've been experts in the game and business of golf, specifically focused around golf operations. And so as we continue to move forward and change continues to be commonplace, we wanted to make sure that we were out in front of the trends that exist. And those trends, as I mentioned, were ways to grow the game of golf, ways to lead the game of golf, and so on. The Master Professional Program is that 4-star category to the far right. That too will remain largely the same, but what is changing is the overall experience level and requirements of that experience and membership along the way. We're comfortable talking to all other associations that what we ask in this level is greater than what is being asked in the other associations. So from a credibility standpoint and relevance standpoint, we've been given good feedback from those that have audited our curriculum and the review process and our criteria within each of these categories. Oh, here we go. This slide just simply keeps us on track and aligned to our strategic initiatives and priorities that include growing the game and serving our members every single day. So what we want to make sure everybody's clear on is that what we do has a dashboard associated with it and a scorecard associated with it. And the key performance indicators are looked at by our governance from top to bottom. So it holds everybody accountable, and there's a combined level of commitment from us to the membership and from the membership back to us, so that we can truly promote you in the best light possible to enhance your career. Certainly you can see on the left-hand side there all the elements that would include satisfaction, growth of the game, the impact that diversity and inclusion must have if we're going to remain effective, and then how we really categorize the value of our membership and what you bring every single day to the customers you serve. From a measurement perspective on the right-hand side, it's easy to see the scrutiny that we are under on your behalf. And so we work every day to provide John and our officers and board and leadership with every aspect of what it is we do on your behalf, so that we can justify the change and the transactions that take place. Here we're looking at really a snapshot of the current program. This program, as many of you may know on the call today, serves two audiences. It serves our apprentices and the students that make up our 18 universities. We currently have roughly 4,000 apprentices and 1,900 students. So the significance of this training program is important because it serves a very, very large audience. The three levels that this focuses on is no different than it's been in the past. As you may know or may not know, it's really driven by how we can apply what it is they learn in the classroom and during seminars on the job to create the impact that the employers are looking for our workforce to create, and really helps begin and establish that baseline value proposition that they can sell on their behalf for their career as they grow it along the way. This is just further detail on how it breaks down for the criteria that exist to become a member from the time you begin in our qualifying level through each of the levels and apply for membership. As you can see, there's a lot of aspects to this. There's a lot of self-study that you have to do. You show up to the PGA's Education Center or a university and go through the rigors that exist there. Once you learn these competencies, you're asked to do work experience. Those are things very essential to the job. Those things are graded and peer reviewed, and then ultimately you take an exam. So this three-level process is supported by great rigor and assessment so that the marketplace is assured that we're upholding our brand standard, and that when we bestow upon those who complete this the badge of PGA and membership, that they've gone under great scrutiny and there's great value associated with that.
And before we transition into career services, I will tell you that, you know, one of the things that I've told the organization and told the senior leaders around, you know, people like Dawes is, I think we all need to, you know, and I wasn't part of this, but they all need to, and now we all need to beat our chests a little bit. I mean, 90% of our members utilize our education, and 80% put a high value on that in our annual survey. So it's really, really important. And Dawes and his team have listened. One of the things that has been asked for was real life education, and Dawes and his team developed the team-based simulations that are being rolled out to the sections, and they've done 15 of them. There's 7 on the books right now, and they are being just received so incredibly well, and that's real life education. So again, an organization here that's listening to the needs and the requests of the membership. So
and maybe just one point to conclude. What we're really excited about, to piggyback on John's comments there, is that the current training program that allows our students and apprentices to become a member was established in roughly 2010. In 2018, we're going to roll out a new program that allows our apprentices to self-select a career path of interest in level 2. So in level 1, everybody goes through a core level of prerequisites, but in level 2 and in level 3, we begin to narrow their focus and enrich their desire to pursue a career path around the 3 areas we discussed: teaching and coaching, executive management, or golf operations, facility management.
And as we transition to career services, rebranded department to from employment services to career services, and with the #1 focus of helping PGA professionals build and promote their careers, I'll turn it over to Scott Kimmick to take us through that. Scott?
Thanks, John. I think it's a great segue to follow up in education as we look to enhance PGA professionals in their career, and really education is the baseline. And as you see that first statement in the slide, advancing PGA professionals into greater, higher level employment opportunities, that really was the vision statement that the department will be focused on going forward. That came out of our employment committee meeting in early January of this year. And that means different things to different people. Each individual member has a different opinion of what advancing PGA professionals into a greater, higher level employment opportunity means. Whether that's taking a head professional director of golf who ultimately the career goal is to become a general manager, helping them get to that level, obviously is achieving that vision statement. But at the same time, an unemployed member finding any employment opportunity also is a checkbox in the win column in that vision statement. So the chance to really get to know each individual member and their situation, helping them and their careers is the ultimate goal. We did expand the team to 18 consultants, many of which the existing consultants, and you have one of our best in Ken Farrell, who I know is on the call and frankly doing a lot of what the department is now demanding of the rest of the team, has been doing it for quite some time in Southern California. But many of the territories across the country were made much smaller so that they could spend more individual time with both members and employers in the career process. And as I said, we didn't just add to the team to make the territory smaller. We also amended their job description and how they're going to be judged and how the department's going to be judged. And a big part of that is in the career development area. How do we spend individual one-on-one time with PGA professionals, getting to know what your career goals are and how we help you get there? And through the enhanced certification programs you saw earlier, the collaboration between both Dawes and myself and the committees in our two specific areas, we feel like we have a great opportunity to continue to highlight the best and brightest PGA professionals, really from an objective basis, as we talk about enhanced education and certification, using that to promote the best and brightest in an objective manner. Those professionals who've taken their time to enhance their career, how do we help push that forward to employers? We have also taken on a much more active role with our largest employers, the major management companies, the Top Golfs, the Golf Techs, and getting to know what their needs are, not only from what they look for in candidates, but how we can help them find those right candidates, how we can use our team in the field and our technological resources to promote and allow them to hire more easily. And a big part of that was the rollout of the new job board that many of you probably have seen on PGA.org, and I'd encourage you to take a look at it. Not only is it an enhanced user experience for both the employer and the job seeker from an ease of use perspective compared to the old job finder tool, but from the larger employer perspective, we've heard great feedback from the back office applicant tracking system that is available to not only PGA professionals looking to collect resumes, but the larger employers are using it to the fullest extent, given the large volume of hiring that they're doing. And it is a work in progress as we continue to roll out a new system, but it is a significant advancement in technology for that process. Not without bugs, but we have an entire team working on it day in and day out. And one of the areas that we see as a big part of the future is, how do we proactively recruit talent to consider PGA membership and the golf industry as a career? As you look at the slide that Dawes shared earlier, from one of the key areas of focus is diversity and inclusion. How do we proactively recruit young, diverse talent to consider PGA membership and make golf and continue to be more relevant in today's society? And you're going to see a pilot program targeting young female college golfers this spring as a way to introduce PGA membership as a career path for young females. And with success, we see that expanding to other diverse groups so that we can be more proactive in the recruiting space. But a big focus for for this group here on this call is to really take that collaboration of education and career services and help advance PGA members and their careers.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Let Tom Brawley talk a little bit about the membership makeup and a few things on membership.
Sure. Thank you, John, and good morning, all. So just talk a little bit about sort of where the membership is, where we've been, and where we're headed. You see this first slide really refers to the election of individuals to PGA membership. And over the past 10 years, you can see there has been a shift downward. So really, what we saw as far as the number of individuals being elected to membership through about 2015, if you go 10, that and 10 years back, from 2016 forward, we'll probably only be electing about 70% of what we had in the previous 10 years. Certainly, the economy with the downturn, lessened hiring back at that time, and election to membership is always going to lag, as it takes, most folks about 4.5 years to get through our apprentice program, and pretty much the same for our university program. So I know sometimes we hear, well, there are too many, and that could be argued one way or the other, but as far as where we're headed, that would be fewer individuals being elected to membership in the past 10 years. The standards remain high as we went to the PGA Professional Golf Management Program 1.0 to 2.0. The standards are high, they're still high, and as we head to the next transition to 3.0, they will remain high. About 30% of those who enter the apprentice program become PGA members, and about 45% of those who enter our PGA Golf Management University program become members. And so that really speaks to what Scott just spoke of. In the past, we have only very marginally been involved in recruiting, but now this gives us a better opportunity to go out and recruit, and especially within the realm of diversity and inclusion, as we try to, help grow that within the PGA membership, and how good that will be for the membership as a whole and the association. So next, we'll just look a little bit at classifications of membership and the growth of membership. So you can see in the past 10 years, from 2007 to 2017, the membership grew by about 3,500 members. However, when you break that down by type of classification, you'll see that there was actually a higher percentage growth of members in the life member classifications compared to the traditional classifications. So that's a trend that we will continue to see, that will continue to have a higher percentage of members go to life member, that in the next 4, 5 to 10 years will be exiting the workforce. So we think that really will offer more opportunity to those who might be newer into the workforce, might have served as assistant professional for a number of years, and may provide better opportunity in the coming years to get into a head professional, director of golf, or general management job. And certainly what we will be offering through member education will help that. But if you look at those members in director of golf, general management, or executive management, 50% or more in those categories are age 50 or over. So again, just leads to the fact that we will see these folks, leaving the industry in a number of years, and providing what we think will be great opportunity, especially with the new path for member education that Dahl spoke of, and then everything that Scott and his team is doing within employment. And I guess finally, in regard to membership, of course, I'm sure you're all aware we're in the last year of this current MSR cycle. About a third of the membership has completed that cycle, which is, it may seem low, but is traditionally about the same, maybe a little lower than normal. But that's just sort of the nature of this beast, and we'll see a lot of activity happening in this next 7 months as we get to the June 15 deadline. And then as the membership committee and eventually board will look at what the new MSR policy will be, there's definitely a focus on what the requirements of the MSR policy be, how can they better align with what's going on in education and what is going on in employment, to help members better serve themselves and better serve their employers in the industry. Again, focusing on how can members end up getting better compensation.
I think we can bust through this next slide, I think, because we want to leave it some time for questions. It's just really a highlight, unless, Tom, you have anything to add. The programming that makes sense for you to drive your business and your personal brand. we need to make sure that the programming's scalable on a national level, and that we're listening to the PGA professionals in the field to drive these programs.
I think the only thing I'd add, John, is just, we look at PGA Junior League and the great growth we've had there and how beneficial that is, not only to the individual PGA member that is, captaining these teams, but the dollars that are driven to the facility and what a great story that is for a PGA member to be able to share with the facility the dollars that have come that way through PGA Junior League.
Now, as we transition to Scott Wellington, who's heading up the section business operations, and really the focus of Scott and his teams to continue to provide the support and the programming to the sections to make them continue to operate efficiently and effectively. So, Scott.
Thanks, John. Good morning, everybody. I just take a few minutes. As Tom Addis knows, as your executive director and leader out there in your section, we've been working for the last year or so since I've been here to kind of evolve our department and really truly become the conduit from a communication standpoint between our 41, what I like to call regional offices out there that are, as John mentioned earlier, really the heartbeat of our association and how they deliver our programs to U.S. PGA members. So really my department here at headquarters, literally on a daily basis, is that interface and provides that interface. And what I love about my role is that we touch really everything that we've talked about here this morning amongst a myriad of other things here that we do at headquarters. So really at the end of the day, providing our 41 sections and their leaders the training, tools, resources, and expertise necessary to help them really operate their business at peak performance. What I hope that we do with our newly added field directors here that we've just named in the last week or so, moving forward into 18 and beyond, is to take much more of a proactive approach to working with our sections, working with our executive directors, the boards, the officers, the chapters, basically the leaders in all of the sections to hopefully look at all their areas of business in a much more scrutinized fashion. One of the things to that end that we're going to launch in 2018 is, with all sections over the next 2 to 3 years, is operational audit program, where we're going to come in and really look from A to Z at how your sections operate their business in all of the areas that you see on the slide, and then how we can, from headquarters, really do a better job in each of those areas of affecting them in a very positive way. Whether that means, as an example, delivering more from a commercial standpoint, more sponsorship revenue down through from our national partners to our sections, from a governance and business planning standpoint, how we can provide better resources and training to your officers and boards and your leadership, to, again, a myriad of those other things that you see on the slide, and how we can positively affect those for the benefit of not only the section, but also how they deliver the value ultimately to you as a member. My hope is that everyone on this call, one of the reasons you're on it is that you are engaged with your section at some level. And certainly that goes hand in hand with a lot of what my department is going to be focused on going forward. So I enjoy the opportunity to work with Tom Addis and in your leadership. I've been out there a couple times as a former staff member in your section years ago, and look forward to continuing that effort.
Thanks, Scott. The next slide is really just an overview of outreach. I'm not going to read the bullets. I mean, it's basically our associations of positively impacting lives through PGA professionals and through the PGA brand. We heard about the PGA Junior League Golf. PGA Hope is help our veterans everywhere. I mean, a great program that I believe is on the morning drive this morning, and maybe even be on either the Today Show or something like that with our spokesperson. Really inspiring stuff. PGA Works, a pilot program, as you can see there. We've also been working, everybody knows about the PGA Disaster Relief Fund that we've had for membership, PGA member to help PGA member with the terrible this year with Irma and Harvey and the California fires and the devastation that happened in southern Florida, southern Texas, the Caribbean, and now California. We came together as an organization and developed the Gulf Relief and Assistance Fund, which we're leading the efforts to a brand new fund that allows our sections to raise money and contribute, which was something we couldn't do in the past. Very, very important to the industry, and we're proud that we launched that in the last 90 days. And then we're working hard on responding to the terrible tragedy in Las Vegas, partnering with the PGA Tour and coming up with Golf 4 Vegas on November 20th. The event's already sold out. It basically sold out in 3 days. We've got it's an event where first responders, it's a thank you to first responders in Las Vegas, and hopefully, we're going to raise north of $100,000, doing something good for and saying thank you to the people that are so important in all our everyday lives. And the last thing I just want to leave you with before we have questions, and please ask questions to anybody on the call here, is just to make sure that we hope to see you at the PGA Merchandise Show. This year's the Youth and Family Summit. It's not the PGA Teaching and Coaching Summit. They're going to go back and forth every year, and Bob Baldessari and his team have come up with a great agenda for the Youth and Family Summit, which is the weekend before the show. I know it's a long way for you all in California, but hopefully it's worth it. We've made some enhancements to the show, the PGA Fashion and Demo Experience, and have added some educational components to that show in Las Vegas, and we see that expanding and becoming more, almost Orlando light, and we're excited about that. So with that, that was quick, and it was what Paul said, give you all an overview and a state of the union, but we wanted to leave 10 minutes for questions. So fire away, and again, ask anybody anything here. Just let me know who you want to have answer the question.
Thank you, gentlemen. John Kulo here from the Education Committee. Question for all of you, really. Are there kind of high-level plans to make the GPTB 3.0 more difficult or make it easier? What is the high-level plan?
Yeah, that's so our professional golf management program is what you're referring to, right?
Yes,
that program, it isn't our goal to make anything easier or more difficult. Our goal is always to meet the expectations of the marketplace, specifically around the employers that are hiring the apprentices. So the standards by which you become a member and the rigor that exists is always becoming more increasingly difficult because the marketplace keeps ratcheting up their expectations of what the business and the people supporting the business do. At that level, we're still looking at, what are the revenue drivers of the facility? What are the cost centers of the facility? How important is it to work within the team to drive all that? So, the focus isn't to make it easier or to make it harder. The focus is to better connect and be more effective. Does that make sense?
Certainly. And can you talk about the dynamic in terms of how that relates to growing the membership?
What's going on? 5 minutes.
With diversity and inclusion?
Okay.
Well, relative to growing the membership, I mean, what we're trying to do, the more relevant our training program is, the more successful they become in the marketplace, the more money they would anticipate making. So I think people will be attracted to the association if they see a better pathway for their career and if they see those careers being compensated to meet their expectations. And we look deeply at what that work experience is and how they can achieve those work experience opportunities within and across our industry. Anything to add?
Yeah, I would just add, I would personalize it a little bit, is that, and I mentioned this is John Easterbrook. I went down what you would call the new executive or general manager path, You know, if I woke up tomorrow and I wanted to be a teacher, just because I'm a 32-year PGA professional, I mean, yes, I know how to get there. I know how to teach, but I'm not necessarily relevant in today's environment as it relates to all the technology that exists out there. So would it be hard for me? It might be hard for me, but in order for me to do that, because it's not what I grew up with, in order for me to do that and stay relevant, I need to do it. So I guess you could say it might be more difficult, but as Dawes said, you know, just to put a personal touch on it, it's relative. And now all of a sudden I can go out and I can go to an employer and go, please hire me as your teaching instructor, because I have been educated on this, and this that is in today's standard. Does that make, that's the way I view it.
And earlier this year on the Catalyst webinar series, we had Pete Bevacqua, CEO of the PGA of America, as our presenter, and he was very proud of the achievements in the PGA Junior League. Can you talk a little bit about the membership team's role in PGA Junior League specifically?
The membership team.
Well, I'll take it. So this is Scott Kimmick. You know, as we've talked to and Ken could verify this and comment on as well, you know, part of career development, career counseling is, you know, what's the impact you're making on your facility right now? You know, part of employability is the revenue you're driving to the facility. So as we've instructed our team, as you're out talking with PGA professionals, and also, frankly, facilities that don't employ PGA members, what we call non-PGA facilities, to not mention Junior League golf as a way for the non-PGA facilities to introduce what a PGA coach can do and the revenue that PGA Junior League brings to the facility and the enthusiasm that it brings to the facility, all captained by a PGA member. You know, that's a great start to potential future PGA employment. But at the same time, for those members that are employed that aren't doing the program, that becomes part of an impact you can make on your facility immediately where you're currently employed. So it's part of what our career consultants are talking about with those members they sit down with. And there is a strong and growing team in player development that if there is a professional or a non-PGA facility that are not currently running the program, we can put them in touch with their regional league manager. And I think Nikki is running the show out in Southern California to help her get it across the finish line and get them in the league for next season.
Who is in charge of diversity and inclusion at the national level?
Sandy Young.
Cross.
Or sorry, Sandy Cross. Sorry.
She also presented on the Catalyst webinar, not this year, but this past year. Can you talk a little bit about PGA Career Links being a viable employment opportunity promotional tool in terms of other headhunter type organizations like Keebler and Koch, where bigger jobs tend to flow through? Is there a plan to increase Career Links' scope in terms of those 1%er type jobs?
So this will be a dual answer, because this is near and dear to my heart. And I mentioned this earlier, and I mentioned it when I was delivering my message at the annual meeting, is that it's no secret. And part of the reason I took this job is I sat on the other side of the table calling and banging on the PGA of America's door, stating we need help. We need to find PGA professionals. We need professionals here. We need professionals there. Our technology has to improve here. We all know that. I'm not saying anything all the way up to the executive level. PGA.org has to work. Jobs has to work. Job Finders has to work. Career Links the Career Link services have to work. And right now, our technology platform's improving, but it's still a long ways away. We have, and it's not necessarily providing a scapegoat or an excuse, but we have a new technology team, literally brand new. I mean, Kevin Scott is 6 months into the job and is making tremendous headway in doing what we need to do, but we have a long way to go. It's like my highest priority, but it's just not necessarily when you start thinking about other priorities in the organization. It's something that continues to move along. Jobs, as you said, if you haven't had a chance to go into the new jobs, which was launched last week, I think you'll be excited about that. We have met, as Scott said, we've met with all the search firms. We are getting into that business. We have to become, this is where it all ties together, this whole conversation today. We have to follow the certification and the education curriculums that Dawes laid out. And then we have to go out and we have to educate the employers that the PGA/general manager, as you said, in that 1%, it's worth our time to go out and do that. So from a career, that's a long way to answer that. Yes, Scott and his team are expanding the career links into the higher paying general manager jobs that have typically been, as you said, with the Copland and Keeblers of the world or the Dennehy's of the world.
Those are all the questions I have at this time. Mr. Easterbrook, your team, thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. We know that you're extremely busy. And again, thanks for taking the Catalyst presentation role on the short notice. As many of you on the call were promoted to, Mr. Levy, national president, was going to present today, and over the weekend had a conflict come up and asked Mr. Easterbrook to take the presentation and on short notice, and we are very grateful for your time and effort in putting that together. As usual, ladies and gentlemen, the Catalyst webinar quiz and a YouTube link to today's recording will go out here shortly. Please take the quiz and return it to Sharon Kerfman at the section office, skerfman@pgahq.com. A score of 70% or higher will earn 1 MSR credit for attending today's Catalyst webinar. This is our last Catalyst webinar of the year. There will be a blast going out here in the next month or so with the 2018 dates, but thank you very much for your patronage and support of the Catalyst webinar series all year. We do appreciate it. We believe it's a viable educational platform, and we want to keep it going and we want to grow it. Mr. Easterbrook and your team, thank you very much for your time today, gentlemen. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm only giving them 1 hour.